Hi, I'm Marty Rothwell, and this is our second video on our series on the healthy mind. From comments I received from the last video, I was told I didn't introduce myself properly. So, a little about myself. I'm Catholic, I teach engineering, I enjoy physics, and I like to see how things fit together or integrate. So, I'm doing this set of videos called The Healthy Mind. My premise being that by having a healthy mind, we can know truth, goodness, beauty, and happiness. So from our last video, we talked about the laws of thought, which were the law of identity, non-contradiction, excluded middle, and cause and effect. Okay, so now to communicate thought, we can either use mathematics or language. The first three rules, if you'll notice, the first three rules of the laws of thought can be expressed mathematically. The fourth one, we use language. These rules give us our foundation or building blocks from which we can build rational thought, or the ability to think clearly. Our next step in rational thinking is to build modes of thought by which we can infer new things. Two ways we can infer truth is by deductive and inductive reasoning. With deductive reasoning, we can use mathematics to express our thoughts. We can use syllogisms, and I can use a Venn diagram to illustrate this. So let's go from here. All men are mortal. Socrates is a man. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. Okay, it's easy to put this together because what I'm doing is I'm simply saying that there is a set of thing called men. Men have characteristics. One of those characteristics is to be mortal. Socrates is a member of that set. So therefore, Socrates is also mortal. Okay? So with deductive reasoning, you can know something with 100% certainty. Okay? Because all you're doing is showing that it's a member of a set with the certain characteristics. But how could I go wrong? Could this be used incorrectly? Yeah. Let's try this. All bachelors are men. Socrates is a man. Therefore, Socrates is a bachelor. Okay, wrong. Socrates was married. But the first two statements were true. So what happened? Okay, what we'd have to show is that in the set of men, there are two types or two characteristics. One would be a married man, and the other would be a set of unmarried men. Okay, Socrates was in the set of the married men, therefore he was not a bachelor. Okay, so with deductive reasoning, you can be 100% certain that you're right as long as you've set up your statements correctly and shown that they are, the sets and subsets are done correctly. Okay, also too, I just want to claim that we just hit one of our goals, and that was that we've hit beauty by introducing mathematics. Okay? Now, many a scientist and a mathematician will agree that math itself is beautiful. Some of you may still need some convincing. Okay? But, all right, there we go. We've hit beauty with mathematics. Okay. The other type of reasoning is called inductive reasoning, where we go from many observations to create a general truth. Say, from watching all things always falling down, we can infer the law of falling down things. Okay? Now, by the way, with inductive reasoning, we convey our thoughts with sentences. Okay? So now when I talk about the law of falling down things, when I don't yet have to say why things fall down, I am just observing that it will happen. So the law of falling down things just says if you let things go, they will fall down. If I want to explain why things fall down, I have to develop a theory. Now, to a scientist, developing theories is cool because it's like being a detective in a mystery. We're given a set of clues. We use inductive and deductive reasoning to arrange a theory that it best explains the facts. Okay? But here's the thing. Unlike deductive reasoning, with inductive reasoning, we always have to entertain the possibility we could be wrong. Okay? Two reasons for this. First off, multiple observations do not guarantee that we will always see the same result. If I were on the International Space Station, and I let this thing go, it would not fall down. Why not? Uh-oh, I have to rearrange, I have to do something with my theory because now it doesn't hold. Okay, so we always have to be open to the possibility of modifying our theory. Secondly, could there still be another reason why things fall down? Well, yeah, there is. I have to entertain the idea that there's always possibly another explanation, okay? For instance, could aliens have done it? Could Egyptian pyramidal field theories be causing it? Possibly. Russian conspiracy theories? Yeah, maybe. Okay, here's the thing. We can come up with myriad of theories that could explain the facts. So how are we going to decide, which one is the most plausible? Two ways: falsification and Occam's razor. In falsification, in order to test a theory's truth value, there should be a test that can prove it false. If there is no such test, then the theory itself remains inconclusive and we have no reason to believe it or even disbelieve it. We can simply ignore it. Okay? Now, Occam's razor says that if there are multiple theories, we should prefer the simplest explanation that it can explain all of the facts. 200 years before Aristotle, a Greek philosopher named Parmenides said, "From nothing, nothing comes." Okay, big deal, you might think. But this is actually a huge discovery because it says nothing cannot suddenly cause something. Now, if you're still not getting it, watch as this thought develops. If something can pop into existence without a cause, then all of our logical thought, all of our science, everything breaks down. If a star can suddenly become a peanut and then a galaxy without any cause or explanation, then logic and science stops. If 2 can become 3 or any other number with no explanation and no cause, then again, all of our logical thinking stops. So you can see hopefully now why this from nothing, nothing comes can be quite important. It's setting up the law of sufficient reason, and it's important, it's critical to our idea of rational thought. So let's keep going. For any given thing, it must be caused by something earlier. And if the earlier causes were changed, then the thing itself would be different, or it might not even exist at all. Therefore, every material thing is contingent, meaning that the thing is dependent on its earlier causes to happen, or for it to exist as it does now. Okay? Even further, everything is passive in the sense that it must receive its existence from something else. Think of a cake. The cake has to have all of the right ingredients. It has to have those ingredients in the right amounts, and then it has to have the right sequence of events to happen for the cake to turn out good. If any of the ingredients are not the same or different, or the sequence of events turns out different, then the cake is going to turn out differently, may become bad. Now also too, the cake is passive in all of this in that it cannot create itself. It passively receives its existence from all of the other causes. So also too, contingent things are not necessary things. The cake exists, but it didn't have to, and it's not necessary for the cake to exist. Okay, so given that, we can also now say, okay, the cake does exist, but where did it come from? It came from this, okay? Where did this come from? Well, and again, now you can easily see, like many kids, we get into this series of, well, where did that, where did that, where did that? And we keep going backwards and backwards. And philosophers do the same thing. Okay, But it's easy to also see, every philosopher knows, that we can't keep going backwards forever, with each thing being dependent from something else that was also dependent on something else, like something else, and depending on some, go on and go on. So it's like a chain that's being held up. We can see that the bottom link is being held up by the link above it, and so on, but what's holding the entire chain up? Okay, and this also applies to all contingent things. Okay, the chain can't explain why it's hanging, together. Okay, so many philosophers have thought of this, and they come up with a chain of contingent things cannot constitute a sufficient reason for itself, for being there. So such a reason must go outside the set of contingent things. Okay, I like the way Leibniz put this together. He said, okay, let's have the set of all contingent things. That set cannot explain why it exists. So therefore, there must be something else that exists outside of that set. And that thing has to have different properties than the set properties of the contingent set. First off, it has to be necessary, and it has to be active. Okay, so two things. Again, the thing that caused the whatever it is that caused the set of contingent things to occur does not have the properties of the contingents. It is necessary and it is active. Now, before Leibniz, Aristotle also had the same thought and came up with the same idea, and he called his thing the first cause, meaning the thing that causes all other things. And he came up with the same set of characteristics. Okay. Now, the thought of a first cause is so interesting and so controversial that it deserves its own video. So our next video will be on the first cause. Okay, bye.